court is going to
schools. And it'll be Sylvester Say jumping it up against Seth Tarver. Kevin Brill, the lead official, tosses it in the air, and we are underway in Fresno State. We'll have it to begin the night here in Corvallis. Paul George inside now to Sylvester Say. Back to George. Keep an eye on him. And his pass batted away on the 1-3-1 zone trap by Seth Tarver. Shep, the playmaker, in the corner. And here, the pass from Ladd, the freshman, the sophomore, pardon me, is taken away by Roland Schoftenar. So already a takeaway by that tenacious Beaver defense.
And here's what people want to see is that continuity from the Oregon State offensive side come back. You see Roland Schoftenar key that Princeton offense.
And the key to that, playing it with his back to the hoop. That's where you get the term point center, playing out high. And he finds a lot of backdoor cutters with that. Paul George, the leading scorer, inside now to Smith, and the freshman reverse lay it up and in. And Fresno State on the board first.
Well, Rich, on that last possession, Oregon State did a good job in that 1-3-1, pressuring the guards and not letting a direct entry pass get in. But that time, you see them let that happen, and that's exactly what Coach Robinson doesn't want.
Josh Tarver and his brother Seth in the lineup. Calvin Haynes now underneath the Daniel Dean fighting hard. Rebound pulled down by Seth. His shot no good. And he'll have a couple of free throws.
Good job from Seth Tarver to go back and get that offensive rebound. One of the downfalls of being such an athletic team like Fresno State is you get a little lax at times and you don't box out. You miss assignments, and that just happened there. Seth Tarver took advantage.
Sylvester Say, the first foul of the night. Seth Tarver at 76% from the line. The top scorer, 13.5 a game. The top rebounder, more than 5 boards a game for Oregon State. And he knocks it up here with just over a minute gone in Corvallis.
Now you see Oregon State extend that 1-3-1 to three-quarter court.
Josh Tarver coming in against Paul George and going for the ball and committing the foul. First Beavers team foul.
Paul George, a guy averaging 17.5 points. You want to limit his touches as much as possible and force somebody else to make plays.
Shep to skip pass to George. Now back to Shep. Haynes wanted to go for the ball, couldn't quite get there in time. Ladd has his shot rejected by Calvin Haynes, and here comes Oregon State. Tarver tried to hook the pass to Daniel Dean, maybe tried to do a little bit too much, and Josh had it taken away at the other end. Paul George slams it home.
Well, that right there is what makes these OSU coaches cringe at night is the turnovers. Oregon State averaging 17 turnovers. They have to get that figured out and get it figured out in a hurry.
Schoftenar had just 5 minutes 4 nights ago against Mississippi Valley State. And Oregon State's surprisingly close win against the Delta Devils. Haynes left-hand three, drains it, and Oregon State has their first lead of the night.
Well, Seth Tarver's been playing well all year, and Calvin Haynes is that guy that everybody's waiting for to step up, just like last year.
Jump ball between Tarver and Smith as Tarver came in on the errant pass from Mike Ladd. And the possession arrow goes to Oregon State.
Calvin Haynes was a guy last year that got going early in the season and really established himself as the leader of the program. Has been a little absent so far this year, been really inconsistent. And I talked to him before the game today, and he said tonight's the night to get it going.
Haynes last year was academically ineligible at the beginning of the season, but really kept himself in great shape and was able to turn things on pretty quickly once he got into uniform. Schoftenar for three, and he drains it.
Oh, it's time. It's time, Rich. I could tell from the way he looked down at that line and made sure he cleared it for three that he's ready to go tonight.
It was right about a year ago. It was January 2nd against USC last year when Schoftenar began to turn things on. Sylvester C. up in the air across to Shep. He pumps it up for three. And the rebound brought down by Calvin Haynes. Haynes plays bigger than his 6'3" at times. Fresno State coming off a 3-point loss at Montana a couple of nights ago. Haynes might have been partially blocked there by Greg Smith.
See Oregon State switch to 2-3. Just throwing different looks at Fresno, seeing how they respond.
Robinson said they would switch up the defense like this, 2-3 to 1-3-1, go man-to-man to try to counteract that huge front line for Fresno State. Air ball by George, and he's hearing it from the crowd here at Gill Coliseum. Haynes, another three-pointer.
He's ready, he's ready, Rich. He's ready. He just said it 30 minutes ago that he's ready to play ball tonight, and he's proven it.
Calvin Haynes, a pair of threes. Ruin Schoftenaar with one. Couple of free throws from Seth Tarver, and Steve Cleveland has called a 30-second timeout.
Well, great recognition from Josh Tarver, the point guard. He knows Calvin Haynes just made one, so you come down the next time and you get him the ball again, which he does, and Calvin Haynes is very successful.
One thing about Calvin, he is not afraid to shoot the ball.
He's not afraid. And that could be good and bad sometimes.
There were times last year when he would get a little bit out of control, and after a conversation with Craig Robinson, he really turned that around. He reined things in while maintaining his aggressiveness.
Well, it was after several conversations with Coach Robinson, and Coach Robinson was just trying to convey to him the difference between a good shot and a great shot. You know, he wanted Calvin to get great shots time and time again. He knows he's talented, and he wasn't trying to put the chains on him like Calvin thought from the get-go. And once he figured it out, he really got rolling.
7-point Oregon State advantage. After their 30-second timeout, let's see what Steve Cleveland has cooked up against this zone trap defense of Oregon State. And it's Sperling, no-look, hook pass to Shep, the playmaker. Cross court to George, and his three, and he hits it. Fresno State able to answer. By the way, we have asked the question, what are you looking for as a Christmas present from your Oregon State men's basketball team? And our texts are going across the screen. Down the other end of the floor after the steal by Shep. Lays it up and gets fouled by Seth Tarver. So time out on the floor, 11-7. Oregon State leads it, and we'll be back. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Happy holidays, everybody, from all of us here at FSN and from Benny Beaver. What's going on for Christmas, Lamar?
Rich, I'm too old. I don't get presents anymore, man.
Oh, come on now.
I don't get any. You got something for me?
No, you give presents, right?
Well, you do, but you're supposed to get some too. I mean, I've been giving every year. I mean, can I get something?
How about a win tonight?
That'll be good enough. That'll be good enough.
It's Stephen Shep to the free throw line. 12 of 18 from the line this year. Pac-10 play tips off next week on New Year's Eve. These Oregon State Beavers in action against the defending conference champion Washington Huskies. Then on January 2nd, it's Tawan Porter and Oregon's turn to battle the Huskies. Oregon State travels to Pullman to take on the Cougs. Northwest rivals collide. The opening week of Pac-10 hoops right here on FSN and FSN HD. This is one of 5 consecutive Oregon State Beavers games that'll be right here on FSN. All right, Johnson into the game. Shotgun are looking for him on the give and go, backing up and hooks it underneath the Johnson, goes up in the air and gets fouled. Smith or Shea. It is going to be Sylvester Shea, and that's already his second.
And that's big. Sylvester Shea, the second leading scorer of the team. You know, and it's because Ruland Shaftenar is making really good decisions with the basketball so far. This is the Ruland from last year that was always making the right passes, taking the right shots, and he's opened up the game doing that.
If you didn't show up within the first 5 minutes of the game on Saturday against Mississippi Valley State, you didn't see Ruland Shaftenar play, and he wasn't hurt. He might have just been getting a message that, hey, you know, you better get things going, and you're not going to be out there.
Exactly. Craig Robinson isn't playing around, and he's letting Ruland know, like, hey, you know, we've already had enough games for you to play sloppy. It's time to pick it up.
And Omari makes them both. 13-8 Oregon State. Not quite 5 minutes gone here at Gill Coliseum, the final pre-conference game for Oregon State. Paul George trying to create 16 on the timer. And Shep underneath. Nice pass to Smith. Put it up. No. Got the rebound and put it back up and in.
Well, against any zone defense, you want to penetrate the zone, whether it's with a pass or a drive. And that time, Fresno State was able to drive and get the ball to the paint. And that's going to break down your zone defense.
Greg Juju Smith, the 6'10" true freshman from Fresno.
Juju, with a name like Juju, you got to be able to play.
Been known as Juju all his life.
You got to play.
10 on the timer. Shaftenar fakes a three. Over to Haynes. Puts George in the air. Might have forced it a little bit too much. He had a little more time than that. And it's off the side of the glass and out of bounds.
Well, Oregon State has to give Fresno a taste of their own medicine. Offensively, they need to drive and penetrate that zone and get a good look.
Penetrate that zone, get more opportunities because of that for more three-pointers. And they're 3 for 3 on threes. Paul George, another three. This one not good. Oregon State leading at 13-10 over the Bulldogs. Johnson backing it up against Ned Golubovic, and the jump hook off the glass is good.
You know, some people may be watching this game and wondering, why is Oregon State doing so well right now against this Fresno team, yet they can lose to a team like UIC, Chicago. Coach Doug Stewart told me before the game that they've been playing up and down to the level of their competition. And if you want to be a good team, you have to bring the same effort every night.
Here's Omari Johnson. Bobby Knight says on this jump hook, it's good because tough to block because you get both shoulders between the defender and the ball.
Yeah, you're not blocking it. And, you know, that's why guys that can make that shot make a lot of money playing this game right now. And then defensively is what the team has been hanging their hats on, and why, even though they haven't been as efficient offensively as they wanted to, they've been able to be in some games and win some.
Lathan Wallace in the game for the first time for Oregon State, averaging just 13 minutes a game. He played 20 minutes a game last year, but he and Shaftenar have been the two most out of sync. Here's Wallace down the base and fumbled it, tipped away out of bounds. It'll go back to OSU with 17 to shoot.
Well, though Lathan is out of sync so far this year, he's very explosive, and he had 17 points in his last outing. You know, he's a guy that can get really streaky, and if he makes 1 or 2 in a row, it could turn into 5 or 6 in a hurry.
Wallace was the leading scorer against Mississippi Valley State on Saturday. And now here's Seth Tarver. No good. Rebound pulled down by Omari Johnson. Back up and in.
Again, I said it, Rich. A team as athletic as Fresno State, you know, they tend to rely on athleticism and miss a lot of blockouts, and Oregon State is taking advantage by crashing the boards.
And OSU bringing that 1-3-1 all the way up past midcourt, and it's out of bounds. It'll go to Oregon State. We saw Omari Johnson on the finish. Johnson said the defense is the key to Oregon State's offense. This is how they got most of their points last year.
Well, and the whole team recognizes that. That wasn't Coach Robinson telling him to say that. This team recognizes that they have to defend every night, and that's just from being a more mature team. You know, these guys being in the system, knowing college basketball a little more, they know they have to defend every night.
Now Joe Burton and Jared Cunningham in the game, and Burton's shot won't fall. Volleyball in the air several times. Burton throwing it out of bounds off Ned Golubovic, back to Oregon State.
Rich, is it just me, or do you think it'd be fair to give him at least a point for that move? Just a point, not 2. Just 1 point. Joe Burton, very light on his feet, very nimble. A lot of people relate him to David Lucas, a guy who played years ago here, with just the quickness of the feet and just how swift he is on the court.
Now, Burton's a little shorter than a lot of post players, 6'7", but he really handles himself well. And Robinson says this is a guy at every level who's gotten rebound after rebound. 6'7", but 295. Haynes, his third three-pointer of the night. This one, back iron, and the rebound chased down by Jared Cunningham. And we got a pushing foul against Fresno State. And again, the Beavers going after the ball hard, and a good long rebound by Cunningham.
Jared Cunningham might be the most athletic guy on this court, and you'll see it if he ends up getting a breakaway or a clear path to the basket. He gets up around that rim with the best of them.
Omari's three won't fall. He's high in the air for the rebound. Paul George. Underneath to Jerry Brown. His shot blocked from behind by Burton, but Joe fouled him.
Oregon State foul, Joe Burton.
For Burton, his first foul. We have a timeout on the floor with 11:53 to go in the first half. Oregon State leading Fresno State 17-10. College basketball on FSN is brought to you by Quest. Our internet customers get free Quest Wi-Fi powered by AT&T Wi-Fi. By Sterling Savings Bank, now more than ever. And by Emerald Queen Hotel and Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest. Jen Mueller is on the sidelines for us tonight here at Gill Coliseum. And Jen, what do you have?
Oregon State head coach Craig Robinson giving his team an earful during this timeout. He is not happy with the way that they started. He knows that this is a good final test for the team before they open Pac-10 play. Fresno State head coach Steve Cleveland, meanwhile, is trying to get his team back on track after a tough loss on Monday to Montana. Now, Fresno State is picked to finish 6th in the WAC, which is a little hard to believe with 3 NBA prospects on this team, guys.
Okay, thanks a lot, Jen. Here's Jerry Brown at the free throw line, and Brown just 4 for 11 at the line coming into the game. He makes the first. One of a number of young players on this team, another true freshman, misses the second. Cunningham, a true freshman, gets into the front court to Wallace. Lathan back to Jared Cunningham. Cunningham out of San Leandro High School, just south of Oakland. And Wallace's pass batted away, but safe from going out of bounds by George. Back to Joe Burton into the lane. Wallace scooped the hoop and puts it in. Lathan Wallace. Nice recovery.
Very nice recovery. And Lathan, because of his shooting ability, it forces defenders to close out on him hard and opens up driving lanes.
Oregon State has 8 points off the bench, 6 of those from Omari Johnson. Fresno State just 1 point off the bench. The free throw by Jerry Brown. Traveling against Brandon Sperling. The Oregon State Beavers have been able to take the ball into the paint.
Well, that's what you want to do. You don't want to come out jacking up threes. If you take it into the paint strong to start, it'll open up opportunities to get the three-point shots.
Now to Burton, who will serve as that point center with Shoftanar out of there and handling the ball well, but perhaps forcing the shot a little bit, did not draw the foul. And here comes Fresno State trailing at 19-11 with under 11 minutes to go here in the first half. And then a foul out high against Jared Cunningham, his first.
That last play, Joe Burton has to realize it's okay. You can get in the paint, and if you don't have anything, then push it back out. So what does Coach Robinson do? He puts his man Rulon Shoftanar back in, and Rulon's going to say, Joe, this is how it's done. Get Joe back out there, and I'm sure he'll be ready to go.
Joe Burton, Jared Cunningham, and Angus Brandt, 3 key freshmen for Oregon State. Mike Ladd back in the game for Fresno State. Let's get past to George. Step in at the high post, down the lane. Sylvester Say, he puts it in. Nice strong move.
Very nice strong move. And I don't know if you heard, Rich, but as soon as Say caught the ball, you could hear the Oregon State bench yelling, he's shooting. He's a guy that's going to shoot. You have to force somebody else to score the basketball on this Fresno State team.
19-13 Oregon State. Shoftanar out to set that high pick. A lot of coaches don't like that because you leave one of your better rebounders out away from the basket if you send your center out for the high pick, but it is a key to the Princeton offense.
It is, and with Rulon's ability to shoot the 3, it's a good thing having him out there. It's not necessarily a bad thing, and that's why you have Omari Johnson in the game and Seth Tarver, guys that when Rulon is out on the perimeter, those guys can go in and rebound the basketball.
Greg Smith, his first personal foul. That's the 4th Fresno State team foul. Jared Cunningham, 75% from the line coming into this one, and he makes the first.
Jared Cunningham is a guy that people should be very excited about if you're an Oregon State fan. Very explosive freshman. As he continues to learn, he'll be an exciting player.
Now, Robinson says he just needs to be able to get the outside shot, and he's got to get command of the floor game.
Yeah.
Lob pass underneath for Smith from Shep. Puts it to the floor, puts it up, no good, but he's fouled. Omari Johnson doesn't like that foul. It is against Omari. That's his first.
He knows getting in there. Coach Robinson has to be happy with his defense contesting, going up to the rim with these athletic guys. Remember, these are guys who possess NBA type of athleticism, and Oregon State is going up there and meeting them at the rim.
Smith, the 6'10" true freshman from West Wind Academy in Fresno. And he had a coming out party on December 12th against BYU. Smith had 21 points and 8 boards.
And ever since then, it's just been an ongoing party because this guy's been a terror in the majority of the games he's played in.
Averaging 11.5 points a game, also recruited by Arizona, Cal, Florida, Kansas, among others. Now 2014 Oregon State. Under 10 minutes to go here in the first half. Tarver gave it off to Wallace, then cut into the lane, but no clear pass. And now Tarver down the baseline, reverse lay it up and in, and he's fouled.
Body by Seth. I told you it's not body by Jake anymore. Seth Tarver with that huge physique is able to get into that paint and finish with anybody. And he won't only go up and lay it up on you. He'll turn it over and dunk on you every once in a while.
Second, 15.
And Seth loves that baseline. He loves operating. You'll probably see this 3 or 4 more times this game where he'll catch it and rip strong to that baseline because he knows if he gets in that paint, it's a done deal.
Foul was on Greg Smith, his second, and the 15 foul. Already Smith and Shea, 2 of their big frontline players, have 2 fouls.
And that's something we talked about, Rich, in the pregame. If you get these guys in trouble, it forces some of these other players to step up and play roles that they're not accustomed to.
Oregon State bringing the pressure out high again. Shep for 3. Rebound, Paul George puts it up and in. The leading scorer, the leading rebounder for Fresno State. 43-16 Oregon State. Shoftanar to Cunningham. Nice move, puts it up, not good. Great move though. Angus Brandt can't get the rebound. Cunningham does, his shot blocked by Shea. He swings the elbows to clear some room. Good double team by Brandt and Cunningham, and batted away by either Brandt or Shoftanar. And a turnover on Fresno State. Wallace into the lane. This scooper won't fall. And out of bounds to Fresno State.
And here's where you have to find that fine balance as a player. You want to be aggressive, but you want to be smart at the same time. 2 possessions in a row, Oregon State doesn't come out with a good shot. So this next time down the court, they have to get a quality shot.
And again, the three-quarter court pressure on the 1-3-1, and Angus Grant fouled Paul George as George tried to go around him. And for Angus, the freshman out of Australia, his first. 16 foul. Fresno State has 5. Underneath the Say, puts 2 players in the air and puts the ball up into the hoop. Bulldogs back within 5, 8:18 to go. Schaffner looking for the entry, but there's some tall trees in there. Three-pointer not good by Lathan Wallace. Here come the Bulldogs, trailing it by 5. George for 3. He had Tarver in his face, it wouldn't fall, and Craig Robinson worked with his team in practice yesterday. He said, hey, get up in their faces, even if you don't touch the ball, contesting the shot, and the chances are greater that they'll miss it.
Exactly, and these guys, they'll pull up like you see from 25 feet, so you have to be out there contesting.
Both Robinson and assistant Doug Stewart trying to hammer that into players' heads yesterday to get out there. A turnover on Oregon State. This time, three-pointer by Say won't fall. He's big, but he likes to shoot from outside. Grant coming down with the rebound authoritatively, but then having it slapped away, it'll go back to Fresno State. We will talk about Rulen Schoftenar and his father coming to town. He's here today, and the effect that had on Rulen last year when we come back. Oregon State leading Fresno State 23-18. Earlier today, Rulen Schoftenar's parents got here from the Netherlands. Showed up yesterday, showed up at the arena today. And it was last year when they came for the holidays that his father, Philip, a 7'2" former Dutch basketball star from the 1970s, had a talk with his son, Rulen. And after that, Schoftenar really began to turn things around.
Yeah, he did. You know, his family means a lot to him. And, you know, they're so used to seeing him play back home in the Netherlands. And now he's over here, so they got to come over here and see him. But they do have a heavy influence on him. And he definitely wants to perform when they're in town, so it's good that they're here tonight.
He had an incredible game against USC, hit a three-pointer to tie it, send it to overtime, and Oregon State won that game. It was their first conference win since 2 years prior to that. And then he had a very big weekend down at the Bay Area as Oregon State swept the Bay Area schools last January. Rulen Schoftenar. That shot by Say didn't fall. And here comes Oregon State. They're a little bit out of sync now. Too many turnovers the last few times down the floor.
There were, and we saw Coach Robinson make some subs. Calvin Haynes now back in the game. Jared Cunningham back out. Rulen Schoftenar, Daniel Dean in the game, so hopefully it helps.
Wallace lobbed it into Schoftenar. Backing up, they send him one-on-one against Brown. He instead gets it out to Dean. Schoftenar to Dean. Goes up in the air and gets hammered. No foul called. They play on, and Tarver puts it in. Nice jump shot, Seth Tarver.
Yes, Seth Tarver. He's a senior leader. He's been playing well all season. No need to stop now.
Say fumbles it. Tarver comes out. 20 to shoot for Fresno State. They're just 1 of 8 on three-pointers. 3 years running, they've led the WAC in three-pointers attempted. Underneath the Brown, reverse lay it up, not good. He didn't have a very good angle. And Schoftenau, nice job to keep his body there. Underneath, Daniel Dean, left-hand layup won't fall. His own rebound, and finally they call a foul.
A very good pass from Roland Schoftenau. Daniel has to go up and finish that, either dunk it or just make it, plain and simple. But credit him for getting his rebound. On the defensive end, Roland Schoftenau has been doing a really good job, not just this season, but even last season, starting to block shots, to use that length and get an arm up and realize, hey, I'm over 7 feet when I put my hands up in the air, so I can get my hands on some balls.
He's got some reach, that's for sure. 5:40 left, first half. Oregon State leading Fresno State 25-18.
Now, Fresno has done a good job switching up their defenses also, and it's throwing a loop in Oregon State's offensive plans, and that could be some of the credit of why they're struggling offensively.
2-3 here. Haynes, Schoftenau, 14 to shoot. Tarver to the corner to Wallace, drives the base. Left-hand layup, reverse put it in. Nice move, Lathan Wallace.
Strong move from Lathan Wallace, and I believe all of his points have come from the paint. And so he's a guy that the scouting report says close out on him when he's 25 feet from the basket because he'll put it up. So Lathan's letting him know he can take it to the basket too.
Lob from Shep to George, but he stepped on the end line. Turnover on Fresno State. Good idea. They love that lob pass, and with all that height, it's successful.
It is successful. And against the 1-3-1, you can throw a lot of lob passes at angles, which they try to do, but Oregon State there, you see Lathan Wallace in help where he's supposed to be.
27-18, Oregon State leads it under 5 minutes to go. First half action, Gill Coliseum. Happy holidays, everybody. Thank you for spending part of it with us here. Haynes to the corner to Wallace for 3. Good.
And this is when this guy is dangerous. This is when he becomes explosive, when he showed that he could take it to the basket, because we already know he can step out and hit the 3, and he's fired up and ready to go.
Oregon State 4 of 8 on three-pointers. They have a 12-point lead. 4:40 left, 30-18 Oregon State, and a 30-second timeout. Lathan Wallace, we saw him drive and do the reverse layup, and now he hits from outside.
Well, Oregon State has several three-point shooters on the perimeter, so you have to respect each one of them, but they forgot about one in the corner.
Now, you mentioned the 1-3-1 zone defense. They also will use the 2-3. What are the advantages and disadvantages of the 1-3-1?
Well, with the 1-3-1, the advantage is you allow Seth Tarver, who's your best defender, a guy who's leading the conference in steals, or he's right up there at the top with the best of them. You allow him to get active up top, and then you allow that guy in the back of the 1-3-1, who's probably the most important guy, or second most important guy. He has to cover sideline to sideline and really run. So if you have some speed on the court, you go with that 1-3-1. But if you have some more size, some more height, you pack in the 2-3 zone, because then you have everybody kind of covering up the lane.
And also easier on the 1-3-1 to pick up somebody in the back court.
Yes, it is.
Down the lane, Sperling. Back out to Ladd back in the game, the sophomore from Seattle, Rainier Beach High School near downtown. Underneath the Shea goes up, and a whistle and a foul called against Oregon State. And that will be against Calvin Haynes. That's his first.
Craig Robinson not happy right now. Calvin Haynes limping a little bit because he took a charge that the refs decided were a no call.
1-1 for Sylvester Shea. 66% from the free throw line coming in.
Again, Sylvester Shea, a transfer from Arizona State. He's played in this arena before and has actually had a good game. And I know because I was on the court. Luckily, we got the win.
Sylvester Shea, the top scorer and shot blocker on their team last year. Paul George having taken over both those mantles this year in his sophomore season. Wallace dribble behind the back against Ladd. Into the lane. Left hand layup. Put it in. Lathan Wallace taking charge.
Well, now his confidence is going. And so, you know, sometimes you pick Lathan up from 40 feet from the basket and he's looking to pass, but now he's already gotten to the basket a few times and he is in attack mode.
George to Sperling. Double teamed out there by Dean and Tarver. Batted away by Schoftenar as he came up. It's on the floor, and we've got a jump ball. Alternating possession. It'll go to Fresno State. 3:44 left here in the first half. And Oregon State leads by a dozen over Fresno State. Lathan Wallace getting it done. Inside, outside, and inside again. Oregon State leads by 12. They are outscoring Fresno State off the bench 16-1. 9 of those bench points for Oregon State by Lathan Wallace.
Yeah, Lathan Wallace, you know, we talked about this not too long ago, Rich. He's explosive. He's a guy that his 4.4 points per game is not indicative of his ability. He can come out and he can shoot it, and everybody knows that. What you don't realize all the time is his ability to put the ball on the floor and get to the basket and finish. Nice, strong frame, so when he gets in that paint, he can go up there and get an and one. And, of course, like I said, he'll shoot it with the best of them.
Mike Ladd's three-pointer, an air ball, and the Seattle native hears it from the crowd. And Ned Golubovich claiming to official Bobby McRoy that it was off an Oregon State player, but he loses the argument. Lathan Wallace.
Yeah, 9 points already. Very talented kid out of Jefferson High School in Portland, Oregon. He's used to scoring. So, again, his 4.4 points is not indicative of his ability.
Schoftenar against Golubovich. Base-to-base pass. Tarver for three. Not good. Ladd double team, tried to force the pass. Out of bounds back to Fresno State with 28 to shoot.
That's another downfall of being so athletic is you do stuff like Mike Ladd just did and get in the air to jump and make a pass. And you're supposed to stay on your feet and make a solid pass.
Ladd, one of 4 freshmen with a lot of minutes last year. He's checked out of the game. Even Shep back in the game to run things. Now Shea for three. It's good. That's just their second three-pointer in 9 attempts.
Well, and that's not a guy you want attempting them because he'll make a lot of them. Again, Oregon State has to get the ball out of those hands. Sylvester Shea, Paul George, those are the guys putting up most of the shots.
That's some weapon in there. Sylvester Shea, 6'10", and he can shoot from the outside. Haynes picked up his dribble and was double teamed. Underneath Omari Johnson put it up and in. He has 8 points off the bench.
Great feed from Seth Tarver to find Omari. And Omari's been very active with not only rebounding, but going and cutting to the basketball. And he's finding opportunities from that. Another undisciplined reach. We've seen about 3 or 4 reaches already, Rich, where the guys are just playing undisciplined defense. Back on the offensive end, Seth Tarver really keeping his head up. He's been scoring better this year. He's also been passing, and I think he's an underrated passer. Finds Omari Johnson down under the basket.
And Omari hit some huge shots for Oregon State last year. High in the air for that board, Seth Tarver. And an 11-point Oregon State lead. Just over 2 minutes to go. Inside to Joe Burton, the true freshman.
And in this man-to-man, if Fresno's going to play man-to-man, Joe Burton will be able to operate. He does a very good job with his back to the basket against a man-to-man defense.
And the bounce pass into the lane to Johnson. He puts it in. What a great pass by the shooter.
Well, you know, he's not bad facing the basket either. Coach Robinson has said that, you know, he might be one of the best passers on the team, and that shows you why he says that.
And that's one reason why Burton wanted to come here. He knew as a good passing post that he would fit into the Princeton offense. Golubovich's first bucket off the bench. Burton, among other places, was recruited by Purdue, and he said, I don't want to go there. I want to go somewhere where I know I can help. He said, Purdue doesn't need any help. Forced shot. Lathan Wallace, and everything is falling for him.
He's got it going. He is explosive. He makes 3 or 4. That'll turn into 10 or 11 real quick.
Sperling's.
And here's what you don't want to see. You see 2 baskets from Oregon State and Fresno with 2 quick answers. And you don't want to see that. A mature team, a good team, a team that's going to win in the Pac-10 Conference has to get stops on the defensive end.
Wallace, NBA 3+ off the front iron. Burton tried to get it off to Seth Tarver, but it was taken away. Now Sperling off to George, lay it up and in. And Beavers are lucky no foul was called.
Yeah, and here's a problem. You know, you make a few baskets and then you come back and trade, but as soon as you start missing your shots and you can let these guys go down and score, now that's how they get back in the game.
Shot clock, about 5 seconds ahead of the game clock. Just a moment ago, Oregon State had a 12-point lead. Now back down to 9. 5 on the timer. Omari Johnson for 3. Rebound, Seth Tarver, and a foul called as he came down.
You know, Oregon State has taken that challenge head on. You know, we talked about Fresno State and the athleticism and the height they possess. And I'm sure these Oregon State players knew that coming into it. And they knew they had to come with it. If they're in that paint, you got to be ready to box out. You have to be ready to go up and jump. And so far tonight, they've done it.
Fouls on Paul George, his second. That means all 3 of their studs along that front line, Smith, George, and Shea, have 2 fouls in the first half. A big foul with 5 seconds left.
Well, part of your scouting report playing against Fresno State is to try to get those guys in foul trouble. Because anybody who plays them knows you want those guys off the court as much as possible.
Seth Tarver makes them both. Beavers back up by 11. Under 5 seconds left in the half. Shev pushing the ball up the floor all the way. Put it up. Not good. And Oregon State, other than a couple of 2 or 3 minute stretches, played a very strong first half. And they lead Fresno State at halftime here at Gill Coliseum in Corvallis, 40-29.
Welcome to College Hoops Northwest on FSN, presented by Snoqualmie Casino, Seattle's premier entertainment and dining destination. Lathan Wallace getting it done for the Beavs here in Corvallis as Oregon State plays Fresno State. Wallace is locked, loaded, and fires. He is heating up for the Beavs in the first half, helping Oregon State out to a 40-29 halftime lead. Hello, everyone. Welcome to halftime. I'm Jen Mueller in Corvallis. Oregon State finally started to click about midway through the first half thanks to Lathan Wallace and some nice shooting off the bench. The Beavs forcing turnovers, just not able to do much with some of them. For more on the first half thoughts, let's turn it over to Rich Burke and Lamar Hurt, guys.
Okay, thanks a lot, Jen. Appreciate that. Talk about those bench points from Lathan Wallace. He and Omari Johnson have combined for 21 points off the bench between the two of them. Meanwhile, Fresno State has just 5 points off the bench.
Well, you know, those guys, Lathan Wallace, Amari Johnson, they're coming off the bench, but they can be starters on pretty much any team in this conference. And that's the good thing about this Oregon State team is the depth. And Lathan Wallace, I told you early in the game, you know, his 4.4 points are not indicative of his ability. He's an explosive scorer. He has been since he was in high school. And he just has some inconsistent games so far. But on any given night, he could put out 20 points, and Omari Johnson can do the same things. You said it. He hit some big shots last year. He's hit some big shots already this year. These guys can perform on any given night.
And you can see what they've done tonight. They are a combined 9 of 14 from the floor. Oregon State leading Fresno State 40-29. Jen Mueller will have more with halftime when we come back. This is College Hoops Northwest on FSN, presented by Snoqualmie Casino.
College Hoops Northwest on FSN is presented by Snoqualmie Casino, Seattle's premier entertainment and dining destination. The Oregon State Beavers trying to get things going against Fresno State. Rulon Shaftanar, the big guy, knocking down a three for the Beavs, helping them pull away here. Right now, they enjoy an 11-point lead at halftime. It is 40-29. 40-29 in Corvallis. They're not the only Pac-10 school in action tonight. Let's take a look at some other scores. Arizona State knocking off USC. Upstate, Jamel McMillan, that's Nate's son, with 15 points in that one. USC knocks off St. Mary's, and later on tonight, it is Arizona against North Carolina State. Elsewhere in the WAC, it is Nevada over Tulsa at halftime. Montana State leading Boise State in the first half, and later, just getting underway, it is Texas Southern and New Mexico State tied up in the first half. We've got much more coming up at halftime here in Corvallis. When we come back, the guys give us keys to look for in the second half. Oregon State up 40-29 over Fresno State. College Hoops Northwest on FSN is presented by Snoqualmie Casino, Seattle's premier entertainment and dining destination. The fans enjoying a holiday game here in Corvallis as Oregon State jumps out to a 40-29 lead thanks to the play of the Beavs' leading scorer, Seth Tarver, knocking it down for Oregon State in the first half. Now, the Beavers seem to start slow and be a little bit out of their rhythm before finally getting it going. And I've got a pretty good view of Coach Robinson on the sideline. And as we bring in Rich Burke and Lamar Hurt, guys, he seemed to be pretty frustrated with his teams at times. What did you see, and what do they need to improve on in the second half?
Okay, Lamar, in the first half, only 5 turnovers for Oregon State, so that's a plus. They're averaging more than 17 and a half a game.
Yeah, but I think why you saw Coach Robinson frustrated at times is because he saw a lot of missed opportunities. You know, it was 5 turnovers, but of those 5, you know, maybe 3 of them were times where they should have scored. It shouldn't have been a turnover. And so he's shooting for perfection, or the nearest thing to it, and that's what you want your team shooting after. But Oregon State came out aggressive, and that's what you want to see defensively. The defense has been there all season, and it's here tonight. They've been able to hit a few shots, which has given them the 11-point lead.
And they've gotten a lot of rebounds against a front line that goes 6'8", 6'10", 6'10". Oregon State out-rebounding Fresno State 21-13, and the Beavs have 8 offensive rebounds. That's led to a lot of points in the paint.
tons of points. Seth Tarver, Latham Wallace, Mari Johnson, they're living in the paint. They might as well pay rent as much time as they're spending down there, and that's what you want if you're Coach Robinson.
Oregon State and Fresno State, the Beavers with an 11-point halftime lead. College Hoops Northwest on FSN is presented by Snoqualmie Casino. Beginning the second half here at Gill Coliseum in Corvallis, and let's check some of the numbers from our first 20 minutes of play here. And you can see bench points 22-5 for Oregon State, rebounds for OSU 21-13 for Fresno State. So some numbers going Oregon State's way. Let's check in at the Oregon State sideline with Jen Mueller.
Hey guys, Coach Robinson telling his team at halftime that they need to clean up the ill-advised shots on the offensive end and start contesting more shots on the defensive end, because if they do that, and you guys pointed that out, Fresno State can't possibly match their effort. And in watching the Bulldogs warm up, I could tell they were a little bit affected by the Beavs and their style of play in the first half.
Yeah, they definitely are. Those guys came out of the halftime break really lackadaisical, so here's an opportunity for Oregon State to jump right on them.
Dogs coming out in the 2-3 zone. Both Tarver brothers in the game, along with Haynes, Dean, and Schoftenar. Same five that began the first half. And it's Josh Tarver over to brother Seth, who hooks it out to Haynes. Open for three. Good.
Penetration. Rich, we discussed it. Somebody plays a zone against you, you have to penetrate the basketball. Oregon State penetrating with both the drive and the pass.
And that's how you create those opportunities outside. Oregon State had missed 7 of their last 8 3-point efforts in the first half after making their first 3. They were 4 of 11. Chips pass put out of bounds by Calvin Haynes, and a good attacking defense by Oregon State. Now we should mention that Greg Smith, Paul George, and Sylvester Shea are all playing with 2 fouls to begin the second half. Shep's three-pointer good. And so that answers the one from Calvin Haynes. And again, an 11-point advantage for Oregon State. Final pre-conference game for OSU. They begin conference play New Year's Eve at UW, in a game that can be seen right here on FSN. A couple of days later, they'll be in Pullman to take on the Cougs. Another FSN telecast. Haynes back to Schoftenar. They left him open momentarily. 7 to shoot. This one a little short from Haynes. He had George in his face. Here come the Dogs.
Here we go. Move it. Drive the ball. Step in. Step in there, ball. You got to step in hard.
Shep, a long 3 straight away. Not good. Daniel Dean. Outlet to Josh Tarver. Tarver just 6 minutes in the first half. Lobbed inside to Dean. Blocked by George. The rebound popcorned around to Shep. Great entry pass by Roland Schoftenar. He was excellent.
Terrific entry pass. And as soon as Daniel Dean missed that shot, you see Amari Johnson coming to the scorer's table. Coach Robinson knows they have to take advantage of these opportunities.
Smith's jump hook, not good. He's fouled. Oregon State, by the way, didn't have a player in the first half with 2 fouls. That foul on Dean, and it's his first. We have been asking you since the beginning of our pregame show back at 5 o'clock, what is the gift, the Christmas gift you want from the Oregon State Beavers basketball team? And you can text your answers to 95323. Somebody else wants to see them finish.
Somebody has my answer.
Yeah, at least 4th in the Pac-10.
Omari Johnson checking in.
Win the Pac-10 title and put Corvallis back on the map. Matt, you might be a couple of years early on that.
Yeah, he's
even more optimistic than you.
Yeah, it is. It is. So if they think I'm crazy, they must think he's just.
But you know what? You're saying 4th, and that would put you in the NCAA tournament.
Yes, it would. And that was the goal of this team. So that's what you want to live up to. So we saw Daniel Dean go out. Omari Johnson back in. Provides another offensive weapon.
Tarver around that pick set by Schoftenar. Another 3-pointer by Haynes, and he drains it.
You know, that was okay offense and a great shot. Oregon State playing windshield wiper offense, what I call side to side, just swinging the ball. Fortunately, Calvin Haynes bails them out. These guys are going to have to begin penetrating the zone because if these shots aren't falling, they're in trouble.
So windshield wipers good on your car.
On your car, you need
offense.
it. You need it when it's raining, especially in Oregon. I've learned that really quick.
Calvin Haynes now 4 of 5 on 3-pointers, accounting for his 12 points. 14-point Oregon State lead. Michael Ladd, sophomore from Rainier Beach High School near downtown Seattle, and he cans it for 2. And Oregon State's lead cut to 12. And the 14-point advantage was their biggest. Haynes double teamed by Shep and Say. Schoftenar tried to get it inside to Johnson, batted away by Smith, but Haynes smartly picked it up. 10 to shoot. Calvin Haynes puts it in.
And here's another guy for Oregon State. If he gets going, he's as explosive as any player in the Pac-10 conference. Calvin's been really inconsistent this year, but he said tonight he was due for a big game.
And solid job defensively by Haynes, and they worked specifically on that pass from up top to the wing yesterday and defending it, having their guys come out and not go for the man, but go for the ball.
Exactly. You want to do that on a defensive end, and on the offensive end, here's what Oregon State has been looking for. It was around this time last year that Calvin started to really extend himself as that leader, as that leading point per game scorer for the Beavs, and so I guess this is just a good time of the year for him.
Eight to shoot. Mike Ladd dishes it off to Smith. 3 on the timer over Josh Tarver. Rebound fought for and pulled down finally by Omari Johnson.
Great defense.
Nice move by Schoftenar. That leaves Tarver open. To his brother Josh. Josh and Seth Tarver, both seniors. Omari Amari's pass intended for Haynes and batted away, but nice diving play by Schoftenau to get it back, and Haynes goes up and gets fouled. What a play by Ruland.
Great play by Ruland. But, you know, a lot of times you can overpass. Ruland did it there, but good job from Calvin Haynes attacking the basket, going in hard.
Calvin Haynes from Southern California. We'll tell you more about him when we come back to Gill Coliseum. Fourteen-point Oregon State advantage, and let's take a look at our U.S. Marines leader of the game. And for Oregon State, Calvin Haynes, clearly a leader last year. They need him to be that this year.
They do. You know, he's a guy that the entire team looks at when they need a basket, and it's because of his ability to drive the basketball, to shoot it deep from three. He's the best offensive weapon I think Oregon State has, aside from Ruland. Schoftenau when Ruland's going. And Calvin's been a guy, he's been asked at times to come off the bench, and that could be tough when you're, you know, notably one of the best players on the team. But he's done it with a great attitude, and has been a very good piece to this Oregon State puzzle.
I always thought too much was made about who was starting the game. He's second on the team in minutes. What matters is who's out there the most.
That's right.
Who's out there
finishing? Who's finishing games? That's where you want to be out there. That means your coach trusts you when it really matters.
Some players thrive in that role off the bench, providing a spark. In the 1980s, Michael Cooper did it with the Los Angeles Lakers. And Haynes certainly did it for Oregon State the times when he came off the bench last year. He makes them both. Biggest Beaver advantage, 16 points with 15 minutes to go. And they continue that pressure defense in the 1-3-1. Jay Brown double teamed by Tarver and Haynes. It's Josh Tarver. Seth Tarver out at the top of the 1-3-1. Seth leads the Pac-10 in steals per game. Sylvester Shea forced it, and it wouldn't fall. Long rebound by Smith.
Rich, I don't know if you heard it again, but Shea caught it in that corner, and all you hear is he's shooting it, he's shooting it. Everybody knows it's going up. This is a critical juncture in the game. If Oregon State can get a stop, go down and score, you get the game near a 20-point lead, and that could really break Fresno State's morale.
And a near turnover. It will go back to Fresno State with 18 on the timer. Great defense over there by Tarver and Omari Johnson.
I don't know if you could put Amari out as wide receiver. As many balls have hit his fingertips and just slipped off. You love how active he is, and he's a great basketball player. You got to come up with those loose balls.
Unfortunately, would have fit in pretty well yesterday with the Oregon State football team. Very uncharacteristic game for Mike Riley team.
Yeah, let's not bring that up. Let's stay right here.
44-20 loss to BYU in the Mako Las Vegas Bowl.
Come on, Rich, I just said, let's not bring it up.
And there's Omari with the rebound. That time he got the handle on it. His pass batted out of bounds by Smith. With authority that time for Omari Johnson.
He can go up there to the rim and snatch it down.
Got basketball in his blood. Omari's mom played hoops at Florida Tech. His dad at Shaw University. Omari born in Kingston, Jamaica. Went to Dorsey High School in Los Angeles. He's got the ball right now.
Here's what Oregon State wants to see, a man-to-man defense. A lot of teams will go zone against Oregon State to stop them from running this offense.
So how does Oregon State counteract it? underneath to Seth Tarver. 8 to shoot. Josh Tarver now blocked and fouled.
Well, Rich, that's a perfect example of why teams play zone against Oregon State, because you want to limit the backdoor cuts and the drives. When this Oregon State team sees a man-to-man defense, their eyes light up because they know there's a chance to drive, there's a chance to cut, and that's what this Princeton offense is all about.
Foul was on Ladd, his first. Paul George has 3 fouls, and he's on the bench right now. Greg Smith playing with 2 fouls. Sylvester Shea playing with 2, and now George back in. He'll play with 3. And a critical time for Fresno State. They can't worry about any foul trouble now.
Yeah.
Trailing it by 17 with 13:35 to go. George takes the 3. Drives by Johnson. Baseline shot, no. Finally, it's pulled down by George, and he puts it back up and in. So that time Oregon State couldn't find the handle. And the Bulldogs back within 15.
Well, when they go back to zone, they have all their big hitters out there who are in foul trouble, so Fresno State doesn't want to play man-to-man and risk getting George or Say into worse foul trouble.
Foul trouble, all the more reason for the Beavers to attack the hoop and see if they can draw more, huh?
Yep, that's right.
And Calvin Haynes this time, contested, hits the 3-pointer.
Or you can just pass to him and let him shoot. When he gets rolling like this, you let him do whatever he wants to do.
Amen to that. If you're an Oregon State Beaver fan. 54-36, OSU leads it. Lob pass in from Shep to Smith, who puts it in, and he's fouled.
And that's that over-the-top pass we talked about. When you play 1-3-1, you give up those diagonal passes, and it's dangerous against a team like Fresno State because all they do is throw it up, and they're going to get it. You see the point guard from Fresno put it in a place where only his teammate can get it. Oregon State cannot go up there and get that. But what they can do is give the ball to Calvin Haynes and let him get busy.
Checking in for the Bulldogs.
Ned Golubovich coming in for Fresno State. Sylvester Shea sits down. And Greg Smith, 55% at the free throw line this year. He completes the 3-point play. Amari Johnson, by the way, his second personal foul. First Beaver with more than 1 foul. Jared Cunningham, true freshman from the Oakland area. Back to him from Roland Schoftenar. And we have a foul called against Fresno State as Cunningham went on the drive after getting the pass. And it's against Ned Golubovich. Golubovich dislocated the pinky on his left hand, his non-shooting hand, in practice a couple of weeks ago. And the bone had broken the skin. Golubovich actually jammed it back into place before the trainer got there. That's a tough guy.
That is a tough guy. That's a tough name. Can you say that 3 times fast?
Nedeljko Golubovich. Nedeljko Golubovich.
Oh, no. I didn't ask for the first name. Last name. First one's easy.
Come on now. Schoftenar to Cunningham. Nice. Boy, he's athletic. Shot wouldn't fall, though. And here comes Paul George. Schoftenar tips it away. He has been quite a bit more effective, and maybe his father being here, Philip coming in from the Netherlands, is just the tonic Roland Schoftenar lead needed, as it was last year. 15-point Beaver advantage.
Hello. Okay, so you remember that story you were telling me about Josh Tarver kind of pushing you guys?
Yes.
So that's what I'm going to come to you with.
Okay.
I'm going to say it wasn't that long ago that Josh was in a similar position to a team that you played on.
Okay.
I'll let you take it from there.
7, 6.
Is that what? Yeah, but that's just his, that's his roll cue. I'm just letting him know how he's getting the toss. We've already talked.
Yeah, we already got it.
Oregon State up 54-39 midway through the second half against Fresno State. And we've talked a lot about Oregon State living up to expectations. And it turns out that the upperclassmen aren't only feeling the heat from outside sources, but from some of their younger teammates in Lamar. It wasn't that long ago that Josh Tarver had the same effect on a team you played for.
Oh, you're right, Jen. It was not that long ago at all. I remember my senior year here at Oregon State. Josh Tarver was a highly touted freshman coming from Jesuit High School out of Portland, Oregon, a place where he had won state championships, and we knew that he was a very skilled player. And what that does to the older players is one of two things: either it intimidates you or it forces you to work harder. And it forced me to work harder, and I was able to keep my starting job as a senior.
Now, a similar story here with Oregon State. We'll get into that in just a little bit. And Smith gets fouled by Ruland Schoftenar. Oregon State has 3 touted freshmen in Angus Brand out of Australia and 2 guys we've seen a little bit more of tonight, Jared Cunningham and Joe Burton.
Yeah.
But there's another guy, 2 guys really, Reese Murphy, who's out with a knee injury. He's also Australian, high jump champion there. And a freshman named Roberto Nelson.
Yeah.
And I saw practice yesterday.
Yeah.
Nelson, who has yet to be cleared by the NCAA clearinghouse and may redshirt this year. No offense to the other guys, but Nelson was clearly the most talented guy on the floor.
Oh, well, I've heard that before, Rich, that not only is he maybe the best of all the freshmen or the most talented, but possibly of the entire team. And if you're Coach Robinson, you like that, and those are the kind of players he said that he would go out there and get. You look at guys like Ahmad Starks out of Chicago, another guy, Devon Collier. They're getting some really major commitments and recruits to come to this program, and that's what you want. That's how you build a program.
Oregon State leading by 13. Their biggest lead was 18. Reverse layup by Burton, no, but he's fouled. Joe Burton, a big recruit last year out of West Valley High School in Hemet, California.
His 3rd personal, Bulldogs 14.
Our FSN Fan Pulse poll question: which upcoming Oregon State Beaver game on FSN are you most looking forward to? Text A for Washington, B for Washington State, C for Seattle U, and D for Oregon. And you can send your text A, B, C, or D to 95323. We'll take a look at the results in a little while. I got to say that next one against UW on New Year's Eve, 7 o'clock here on FSN.
It'll be tough.
That is going to be fun.
It'll be tough.
George throwing it past Shep, and out of bounds turnover on Fresno State. Could say uncontested, but really I think the 1-3-1, particularly in the backcourt, has gotten inside Fresno State's head.
It does, because it makes you have to think as an offensive player. Oregon State doesn't play that 1-3-1 just to get steals. Sometimes it's just to slow up the other team or to make them think and have to make a pass that they want to make.
All right, Johnson against Say. And a whistle and a foul. Sylvester Say playing with 2 fouls.
Bulldogs foul on number 30, Sylvester
And
Say.
that's his 3rd.
And again, Oregon State being very successful of getting the ball inside against that man-to-man defense. I expect to see Fresno go zone in a hurry.
If you're a fan of the orange and black, you won't want to miss Beavers All Access here on FSN. It's insider coverage of Oregon State athletics on and off the court, with exclusive interviews, game analysis, and player profiles. Catch an all-new episode tonight at 9:30, only on FSN. That'll be following North Carolina State and Arizona. Coming up after this one, North Carolina State lost their ACC opener at Wake Forest on Sunday. High in the air goes Burton for the rebound. And he is a hefty guy at 6'7", 295, but he's athletic.
Oh, very light on the feet. Very light on his feet. You hear Coach Robinson yelling at Lathan Wallace that he has to cut back door. This offense isn't the same unless people are moving, cutting, and rebounding the basketball.
And neither George nor Shea went up for that rebound. Joe Burton did and put it back up and in.
Well, those guys could be getting worn out. You know, they've been playing a lot of minutes so far. And
Shea on the baseline drive. He's fouled.
With Oregon State playing as active as they've been playing, it does take a toll on these Fresno big guys.
His 3rd, Beavers' 4th team foul.
3rd foul on Omari Johnson. 4th team foul on the Beavers here in the second half. Not quite 10 minutes gone. Oregon State leading it by 16. Their biggest lead a couple of minutes ago was 18. So here is our first look at how the votes are coming in. And most people are interested in seeing that Washington game coming up on December 31st.
I can't blame him. Washington picked to finish at the top of this conference. That's going to be a tough, tough game.
UW will have a game against USF at noon on FSN on Sunday. That'll be their final pre-conference tune-up, the Huskies. And that'll go back to Fresno State. The crowd angry at the officials, and Bobby McCroy across the way.
I've always wondered what makes refs be a ref. Is there anything good out of it?
What makes you want to take that abuse?
Yeah, I mean, every game.
Sylvester Shea underneath. Now the Oregon State lead, which was at 18, is down to a dozen. Steve Cleveland, and particularly assistant Jeff Reinert over on the Fresno State sideline, upset at that call.
Well, here, if you're Oregon State, you want to be careful. Fresno has scored a few baskets. What that does to them now is give them a little extra energy and life on the defensive end. And the last thing you want is these athletes from Fresno playing active and feeling like they have a chance to win this game.
If you're Paul George, you certainly don't want that kind of foul as your 4th personal foul, and he comes out. 6-team foul on Fresno State. Oregon State's committed 4 in the second half. 9:20 to go here. Oregon State leading it 57-45. Wallace goes up, and his shot blocked and taken away by Brandon Sperling. Nice move by the sophomore from Fresno. Traveling at the other end by Smith.
And Oregon State got lucky there. Latham Wallace drives to the basket, gets his shot blocked. Other than Calvin Haynes, they're the 2 smallest guards on the court, so Latham would normally get back, but he was stuck in the paint, and Fresno with another careless turnover.
Latham Wallace comes out. Josh Tarver back in. A little bit of pressure put on by Fresno State. Earlier this year, Oregon State saw a lot of pressure against George Washington University, and they had one of their better games.
Well, sometimes when you know going into the game you're going to see a certain level of pressure, you prepare for it differently, and mentally you're ready for it.
Foul away from the ball on Mike Ladd. That's his second. And Seth Tarver will go to the free throw line for a 1-and-1.
And if you're Oregon State, you're already in the bonus. Everything should be going to the basket right now. Force the refs to make a foul. Force Fresno State to not want to foul.
Seth Tarver, that's his first missed free throw in 7 attempts. 10 points and 6 rebounds for Seth. And that windshield wiper offense you were talking about there, Lamar.
It's only for cars. It's not for the basketball court.
Smith double team, tries to pass it off to Sperling, cutting into the lane, and it's out of bounds. Last touch by Fresno State. I think Bobby McCroy signaled one way, and Darren Wright signaled another. 8.5 to go. Oregon State leading it 58-45. Haynes one-on-one against Shep. Now to Shofton. Nice give and go, and Haynes puts it in and gets fouled.
This is when Oregon State is dangerous. When teams extend the man-to-man pressure, as long as the guards for Oregon State do a good job bringing the ball down the court, they set up in that offense, and then the backdoor cuts really kill people.
A little bit of hesitation by Haynes, and then he went.
Well, because Fresno was in that aggressive state of mind on their defensive end, and if you're doing that against this Oregon State team, when they're around that three-point perimeter, that's when they're most effective with their backdoor cuts.
Calvin Haynes completes the three-point play.
On the court for the Bulldogs.
And he has 21.
Again, Calvin Haynes was picked up and pressured full court, so his defender was stuck to him, basically glued to him the whole way. And as violent of a cutter as he is, that's how the Oregon State coaches describe his cutting. It's a violent cut. He cuts so hard. He's going to get a layup every time.
George, and his two-pointer is good. Paul George playing with 4 fouls. 14-point Oregon State advantage. Under 8 minutes left. Oregon State's opening Pac-10 weekend will be up north at UW on New Year's Eve, and then January 2nd at Wazoo. Both games right here on FSN. Their next home game, January 6th against Seattle U, also here on FSN. The final non-conference game of the year. Tarver's leaner wouldn't fall. That's Josh Tarver. Rebound Sperling hassled from behind by Josh. Shut him out a walk. None was called. The lead official, Kevin Brill, shaking his head no. Now Shep for 3, wide open, and he cans it.
Even Shep for 3. Timeout.
Greg Robinson calling from the Oregon State sideline over to lead official Kevin Brill, signaling traveling, but none was called on Shep, and he hits the 3. Oregon State led by 18. It's now down to 11.
Oregon State up 61-50 here with 7 minutes to play in the game. Coach Robinson fired up talking to his team under the watchful eye of the 2 Mrs. Robinsons. That would be his mom and his wife, Kelly. Mama Robinson in town for a few days to enjoy the holidays in Corvallis. Wife Kelly, sitting next to her, is expecting the couple's first child in January. Congratulations to the Robinson family. You think it's going to be a little crazy around there as Pac-10 play starts and they get a new baby, guys?
Wow, as if it wasn't crazy enough
it's already crazy enough. They must like it that way over here.
No kidding.
Some people feed on that.
Talked to Coach Robinson yesterday. I said to him, you know, even after a year now, it must be surreal that your brother-in-law is the president. He said, imagine your sister being the most recognizable woman in the world. Omari Johnson underneath off the pass from Schoftenall. He said you'll never get used to it.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Back to a 13-point cushion for Oregon State. It was getting alarmingly close, down to 11. Sylvester Shea didn't get the roll. Tap up by Smith wouldn't fall. Out of bounds. Back to Fresno State with a fresh 35. And here's a look at it again. Schoftenall to Omari Johnson. 13-point Oregon State lead. Oregon State leading Fresno State 63-50. Our FSN Fan Pulse question: which of the 4 upcoming games for Oregon State on FSN are you most looking forward to? And the tide has turned. Now Oregon, that game on January 10th, an FSN national telecast, is leading with 45% of the votes.
Well, a Civil War game is always a big game. But, Rich, I want to point out something I noticed. Last time that Seattle U game was at 0%. And, Rich, honestly, I felt a little disrespected because you and I are on that game. And so you'd at least think people would want to see us, don't you?
I'm glad you mentioned that. It's up to 7%. I think the votes are going to climb now that you mentioned.
That was probably all family members at 7%. So family, I appreciate it.
Absolutely. That's January the 6th, Seattle U here at Gill Coliseum. And Lamar and I will be Mike's side. Critical time here for both teams. Oregon State wanted to maintain command. 13-point lead, 6.5 to go. Smith against Schoftenar goes up. Wouldn't fall. He got fouled, and Rulin went straight up, and he's wondering where the foul was.
I'm wondering about that call. And so was this entire arena. Rulin was straight up on that.
That's Schoftenar's 3rd team foul. Omari Johnson also has 3 fouls, both of them in the game at the post right now. Meanwhile, Paul George with 4 for Fresno State, and Greg Smith and Sylvester Shea with 3 each.
I would expect to see Fresno go back into a zone defense with Paul George having 4 fouls. You don't want to leave him out on the island guarding Rulin Schoftenar or even Omari Johnson.
Bulldogs are now back within 11. 6:23 to go. And they call off the Dogs on the full court pressure now. Haynes one-on-one against Shep.
Fresno a little braver than I thought. They are in the man-to-man. Now if you're Oregon State, you want to recognize and go right at George.
George right now guarding Seth Tarver. The Beavers leading scorer and rebounder.
Pick and roll, Calvin Haynes, Rulin Schoftenar. We saw a lot of this last year. It was very effective.
And there's Schoftenar to set that high pick. 6 to shoot. Now Schoftenar casts for 3 and hits it.
Well, those two like to do that. Calvin Haynes, when he's making this shot, he's very dangerous coming off that pick and roll. It forces 2 defenders to have to guard him. Frees up an open look for Rulin Schoftenar.
He's 2 for 2 on 3-point attempts tonight. 1 early on, and now this one. Back to a 14-point advantage for the Beavers. Nice bounce pass inside to Smith from Paul, and it wouldn't fall. Paul George. .520 left, 14-point Oregon State lead. Schoftenar underneath on the alley-oop to Haynes, but he couldn't get it to fall. Couldn't quite find the handle. And now Sperling tried to bounce pass to Smith, tried to force it, taken away by OSU.
And now's where Oregon State has to take care of the basketball. This is where we're going to see if they've grown from all the turnovers so far this year.
Averaging 17.5 turnovers a game.
Now, how often do you see this? A 7-footer setting up the offense.
Haynes with 7 on the timer. And he goes around Golubovic and puts it in. Great move by Calvin Haynes.
The time before on the pick and roll, he hits Rulin Schoftenar. That time he decides to keep it himself, and that's what makes that pick and roll so dangerous.
30-second timeout called by Steve Cleveland. And Fresno State, 4:27 to go. OSU leads it 68-52.
Well, this time Calvin Haynes attacks the pick and roll, and because Rulin Schoftenar made the last one, Rulin's defender decides, well, I'm going to stay with Rulin on this one, and it frees up a driving lane for Calvin Haynes. Does a good job splitting through the defense, finishing with the right hand.
Calvin has 24 points. That's 1 shy of his career high. And remember, Haynes is just a junior.
Yeah, he'll be back. He will be back, and he said before this game that tonight was his night to get things going.
Josh Tarver checking in.
Oregon State, by the way, has 4 seniors, the Tarver brothers, Seth and Josh, along with Calvin Hampton and Rulin Schoftenar. See what Steve Cleveland has cooked up for the Bulldogs following the 30-second timeout. Shep for 3. Rebound fought for, brought down by Smith against Schoftenar. Smith tied up from behind by Lathan Wallace, and out of bounds back to Fresno State.
Good job on the defensive end. All game long, they played outstanding defense. And on the offensive end, they've been able to make shots, and that's what makes them special when they put both of the things together.
Great job by Seth Tarver, the Pac-10 leader.
Don't be nice.
At the other end, jams it home. Seth Tarver. Not nice indeed. $18-point Oregon State advantage, matching their largest. Weak side board, Sylvester Shea. Nice pass to Shep, and he cans it to get 3 back for the Bulldogs.
This game's not over yet, especially when Stephen Shep is out here hitting shots like he's hitting tonight. Oregon State has to be careful with the basketball, protect it, get into their offense, and run it against pressure.
And they send Smith at 6'10", way out high against Shoftanov at 6'11". .12 to shoot, 3:10 left here, and Oregon State leading it by 15. They have been in command the entire way. Lathan Wallace, long 3, rattles out.
But looking over at Coach Robinson, he started to celebrate after that ball went down and then realized it came back out.
Halfway down the cylinder. Now, Mike Glad finds the cylinder. 40% on 3-pointers this year. That's his 21st, and that gets the Bulldogs back to within a dozen after a pair of 3-pointers.
Well, here's where you have to be composed. You have to realize that even if they score and even if we miss again and they score again, we're still up. Stay composed and do what you do.
Good ball handling by the senior from Utrecht, Netherlands. Shoftanov had a good game against Nebraska back on December the 12th, and it looked like he was going to snap out of his early season malaise. He's had a solid game tonight. Wallace draws the foul.
Foul number 22, Greg Smith.
2:12 to go. Oregon State leading it 70-58. A 12-point advantage. And Oregon State in command. And here's Seth Tarver after the steal. College basketball on FSN is brought to you by Banner Bank. Better ideas, better banking. And by Quest. Our internet customers get free Quest Wi-Fi powered by AT&T Wi-Fi. Never get tired of Christmas music, Lamar.
I know.
A lot of people do. I don't know. It's just for a few weeks.
Yeah, no, I got it in the car right now.
Attaboy.
I'm going to listen to it the whole way back.
You got your shopping done?
No, not yet. Not yet. Have to go do some last-second shopping tomorrow. But who does? Everybody does it. Don't give me that look, Rich, like you don't do it too.
No. I've got one thing left to get. I'm just thinking how solid you were for Oregon State when it came down to crunch time. you know, you like to set that scenario up for
Yeah,
yourself. You like waiting to the last minute.
Yeah,
Like
I need that. I need that pressure. I can't operate when I have time to do things.
Rich Burke along with Lamar Hurd, who played here at Oregon State 4 years, 2003 through 2006.
Now Oregon State setting up that 1-3-1 defense just to slow things down. Right now it's clock management. You want to make Fresno run as many seconds off the clock as you possibly can.
Both Smith and George now with 4 fouls. Sylvester Shea with 3. Another long 3 by Shep, and he knocks it home.
If you shoot him from there, there's nothing you can do. That's where one as a coach, you know, you just tell your team, keep playing.
He's 3 of 8 on 3-pointers. Steven Shep, the point guard. And out of bounds, back to Fresno State. Turnover on Oregon State. 1:45 to go, 11-point OSU lead.
Now again, Rich, I just talked about this. Oregon State has to keep their composure. Even if you turn the ball over again and they score again, you're still up. So every possession, you have to just make it that possession. You can't worry about what just happened.
I think Craig Robinson's going to see turnovers on inbound passes in his nightmares. Against Illinois Chicago, they had 3 in the final 90 seconds of the game. Nice move by George. Let's see what they can do here.
Here we go. Here's a new possession. Get the ball and bounce to your guard.
And off Shep.
And this is where last year Ricky Clack came in hand. You know, being that senior point guard as a leader, when people were pressing at the end, he directed everybody where they needed to go, and he got the ball in his hands.
Now Tarver won't be able to run the base, and he calls timeout. So good defense put on by Fresno State. Minute 23 to go. Oregon State leading it by 9, a lead that was recently as much as 18. 30-second timeout called by Oregon State.
You know, Rich, when I was younger, my coach used to tell me that the game is 90% mental, 10% physical, and I never quite understood it. But times like this is a perfect example. Oregon State, you just mentioned, in that game against UIC about a week ago, they struggled with this exact thing. And you can see on their faces those looks coming back, almost like they're being haunted by it. And that's where you have to forget about what's happened in the past. Your mentality has to be one as such where here's what we're doing. We're going to run a press break. We're going to get the ball in bounds. We're going to bring the ball up the court. Bottom line, nothing else to it.
As an athlete, you have to have the ability to remember things, but you also have to have the ability to forget some things too.
You have to be able to forget.
9-point Oregon State lead, and now Josh Tarver to inbound it. It was Seth before, and he gets it into Schoftenar, back to Josh, and they'll call off the Dogs. And Oregon State going to want to wind some time off here and get a solid shot. Sylvester Say coming all the way out high.
Looks like Fresno State isn't going to foul.
Calvin Haynes with 13 on the timer, 1 minute to go. 9-point Oregon State advantage. Lathan Wallace was huge in the first half against Shep. Nice move. Fall away shot off the glass. Not good. 51 ticks left. Fresno State coming down the floor, trailing it by 9. Lob to the corner for Ladd. His shot blocked by Lathan Wallace. Here comes Oregon State. They probably want to slow it down a little bit, chew some time up.
And here Fresno will foul.
And right now, Oregon State doing a good job of playing keep away. And Schoftenar not fouled by Ladd. To the corner to Wallace, 25 seconds left. They're going to foul. They took a long time to do it.
Well, no, still no foul. They've either given up or just don't realize there's only 23 seconds on the clock.
Well, they have 2 players on the floor, Smith and George, who are playing with 4 fouls. Well, those guys don't want to foul. And George will guard the inbound passer, Seth Tarver, 16 on the timer. And now Shep commits the foul. And that's his first. And Oregon State in the double bonus. It'll be 2 shots for Calvin Haynes. 66%er coming in, and 3 of 3 at the line tonight. 1 more point will match his career high.
You know, in this game, credit Doug Stewart, the Oregon State assistant, who did a good job. He was scouting this game. He knew Sylvester Say, Paul George were guys that were hurt him, and those guys are really limited tonight.
And Haynes does match his career high. Angus Brandt, the freshman from Sydney, Australia, comes in, and Omari Johnson comes out. 23 ticks left. Oregon State leading it by 10. Wallace went for the ball, didn't get it. Slam dunk effort by Smith and hit the back iron and came out. Takeaway from Haynes by Smith, and Ladd slams it home. The sophomore from Rainier Beach High School near Seattle. 5 seconds left, 8-point Oregon State lead. A more commanding victory than the final score will show for Oregon State, and a great final pre-conference game for the Beavers.
Good job playing with the lead. That's tough to do. It's always easy to come from behind, but Oregon State had the lead most of this game, played with it, and like we mentioned, this is the last tune-up before conference play, and they ended up with a good one.
Oregon State beats Fresno State 73-65, and they did turn the ball over 16 times, 9 of those in the second half, so almost at their season's average, but all in all a much better game.
It was. Defensively, they were there. Offensively, they were there. Against a team like Washington, though, which they'll face coming up here, they cannot turn the ball over that many times.
Calvin Haynes, 25 points, matching his career high, set at Stanford last year on January 24th. Great job by the junior.
It was. Calvin Haynes, I told you, he said he was coming out tonight ready to play, and he was. Merry Christmas to him.
Let's go down to Jen Mueller, who is with Calvin Haynes.
Now, I got to give credit where credit is due. Calvin actually said that he would be talking to me after the game, so I think he had a feeling that this was going to be a big night. Is this kind of what you had in mind?
Yeah, it's what I had in mind from the get-go. When I was talking to you and Lamar and talking to my team and stuff, I told him it was going to be a big night. I wanted to go out and play hard.
Now, those were an intense final few minutes. How do you think your team responded?
We responded big time, you know. In the past games, we haven't taken care of the ball, and I think we're getting better and better, and everything's a learning experience for us. So every game we want to take it as a challenge and just do well.
Is this team ready for Pac-10 play?
We're going to be ready. You know, you can't really say that right now, but, you know, a lot of stepping stones. We got the Pac-10 champs coming up, first game, so that's a big game. But I think we're going to respond well.
First game against the Pac-10 champs, but without John Brockman. How does that change how you'll prepare for the Huskies?
He was big for them. He was very, very huge. You know, set all type of records and stuff. And, you know, he's a great player. But we feel like we can play with anybody in the pack, and we know we can. So we're going to go out there and give it effort every game we have.
Are you going to get a little time off for the holidays? Is Coach going to be nice at all?
Yeah, he's giving us a day off today through the 27th. You know, that's, you know, it's as much as we get, but we don't deserve that. We deserve to be playing every day of this holiday and just practicing hard and getting ready.
All right, nice game for you, Calvin. Nice game for the team. The 1600th win in school histories for Calvin and the Beavs, guys.
Okay, thanks a lot, Jen. Oregon State, the 15th school in Division I to have 1,600 wins. And Calvin told Jen he might be talking to her after the game. What about you, Lamar? Did you ever call your shot?
You know, I tried to, but, you know, that guy can come out and deliver. He's really explosive, and he did. I was standing right there when he said it. You know he's capable of big games at all times, and Calvin was due.
Yeah, and I got to say, I liked his restraint there because they asked him if he's ready for Pac-10, if the team's ready for Pac-10, and he could have said, oh, yeah, we're ready. He didn't. He said, you know what, it's going to be tough going up there to Montlake and playing the Huskies.
You know, he's very realistic, and this entire team is, and that's that maturity process you want to see. And he knows that they have to prepare. They have to play different. You can't turn the ball over at the end of the game when you're going up and playing the UW Huskies.
So Calvin Haynes matching his career high, 25 points. Roland Schaftenar back in the fold with a great game. His father back in town, and Roland very solid tonight against Fresno State. We'll be back with more. OSU wins it by 8 at Gill.
College Hoops Northwest on FSN is presented by Snoqualmie Casino, Seattle's premier entertainment and dining destination. Well, the Beavs give their fans a nice holiday surprise in the form of a win 73-65 over Fresno State. Oregon State closes out non-conference play with a win. They now get ready for Pac-10 play that starts on New Year's Eve. But talking about tonight's game, guys, there was a lot of guys involved that made this win happen.
Yeah, there sure were, Jen. You know, I want to correct something I said earlier right off the top here. 9 turnovers for Oregon State tonight, only 4 in the second half, so much better than their season average of 17 and a half. Talking about those points off the bench, they had 29 of them tonight. Lathan Wallace, Omari Johnson, big coming off the bench for Oregon State.
Yeah, because those guys aren't really bench players. They're guys who can start on pretty much any team in this conference, and that's the plus. That's the upside about this Oregon State team, is just the balance you can have in scoring. A guy like Calvin Haynes plays up to his potential, 25 points, shooting 5 or 6 from the three-point range. Then you got Lathan Wallace chipping in with 13, Omari Johnson with 12. Seth Tarver, you know he's always going to give you a consistent 12 to 15, sometimes 20 points. So if this team plays up to their potential, this is where the expectations came from. People know what they're capable of, and now it's just time for them to do it. Tonight they did, and we see the outcome.
You know, last year with Klatt and Schoftenar and Tarver, it was easy to forget Lathan Wallace just quietly coming on and doing the job, and that was true again tonight.
Well, because sometimes Lathan could be inconsistent and therefore get lost in the shuffle. But you see, he's capable of driving the basketball, shooting the basketball, has a very strong body. So when he gets in that paint, even though he may be shorter than some, he can get up there and finish with the rest of them. And so Lathan is a guy just very explosive. You know, if he gets rolling, I told you this, Rich, if he hits 2 or 3, that could turn into 5 or 6 in a hurry, and it did tonight.
Now, after this broadcast, it will be North Carolina State at Arizona. NC State lost their ACC opener on Sunday. Arizona, meanwhile, under head coach Sean Miller. Here's a new guy. The cupboards were bare when he got there, and it should be an interesting contest.
It will be. It will be.
That's NC State and Arizona coming up after us. We'll be back with more from Gill Coliseum in Corvallis.
Well, boys, it's over quick. It's Christmas. You guys all want to go home. This is your last game for you can get that.